You know the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you'd have do unto you, right? Or perhaps you've heard about karma. You do something good or else it's going to come back to bite you later, right? Lots of Christians think that if they do all these good things, that God is just going to pour out blessings upon them. In the First Testament, people get the impression that if you do the sacrifices, if you do the offerings, that God will just pour out blessings upon you. And so we get people like Joel Osteen who will say that you could just name it and claim it, right? You just tell God what you want and it's going to come down to you because you're a good person and you deserve it. And you get other Christians who are serving in soup kitchens and doing all these good things and great things, and yet they're only doing it out of an act of service to get blessing. And I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of TikToks lately about those messages of claim this now and interact with this 3 times for God's blessings to be poured out. And those comment sections are full of people like, yes, I claim it, please, yes, and they're liking the videos. But if that were true, we'd all be millionaires by now, wouldn't we?
Yes, to all. Yeah, there you go. Now everybody's happy.
An unusually high number of lottery winners has New York officials concerned. So far, 1,100 winning tickets have been turned in, all strangely from the Buffalo area.
Truth of it is that we actually can't make God do anything that he doesn't want to do. He's God. He can do whatever he wants. In 1 Samuel 16, God wants Samuel to go out and meet a guy named Jesse. And he's a little bit afraid to do so because the king that Samuel installed a little while back in that same book, Saul, kind of wants to get him, kind of wants to kill him. They don't have a good relationship. And so Samuel's hunkered down. He's trying to keep safe, trying to stay out of the public eye to stay away from Saul and his wrath. It's not really a good show of faith on Samuel's part. He's not willing to sacrifice his safety without God guaranteeing something in return. So he commands Samuel to grab a heifer and go and make a sacrifice. And then God will grant him security and safety from Saul. There's this great line in that chapter that God looks inward at the heart of man, whereas man looks at the outer stuff, the appearance and the works. Rarely do we measure up to our own standards, and when we try to measure the outcome of those goals and those sacrifices, we're often doing so by our own measure of standards. And those are usually really harsh. We fail the test if we didn't get 100%, or we were unable to have a productive day if we didn't do all the chores on our list. And it goes on and on. It gets harder and harder on ourselves. But all of that is work-based performance. It's performative judgment. And so we work this way to judge our own goals. And sometimes that's okay if we're doing it right. But this isn't how God works, actually. God works very differently. God sees the heart. He sees what's inside. He sees our motivations. He sees our past, our memories, the things that we think of, the choices that we make that go into what we're doing with our goals and our sacrifices. And so God judges us, for lack of a better term, but he sees that inward stuff, and he judges us based on that, not our performance, not our works. So in that debate of faith over works, right, God is looking at the heart. He's looking at the motivations. And so if I could encourage you to sacrifice anything this Lenten season, perhaps you're going to give up judging yourself so harshly, putting all of those expectations on yourself, and really just bringing that down to where a God looks at you. Look at your heart. Look at what God sees. And I also want to encourage you that if you're not feeling worthy, if you're not feeling up to snuff, Jesus died for you. You're worth dying for. And that may sound harsh, it may sound really barbaric, or maybe even caveman-like if you want, but Jesus made a sacrifice for you because you're worth it. And so we, you and I, could be a little less judgmental on ourselves, a little less harsh on ourselves this Lenten season, giving those up to God, because God died for us, for you and I. And that's something that's pretty amazing and a little life-giving and freeing while it's at it. Blessings on your Lenten journeys, brothers and sisters.